Hey guys, as you can see by the video link, we got our full time back because those fucking Discovery cunts never bothered to reply. They just wait the whole 10 days like assholes. Whatever.
Dragon.
We got time back.
Really big, gigantic, enormous purple dragon with green spines and with claws and spikes and very, very sharp teeth and a huge mouth that just promised not to eat us. Well, that was a start. I could hear the voices of my companions around me, but
It's
I couldn't
so
turn my
goddamn hot in
head.
this room.
My gaze remained locked on the dragon staring at us. I couldn't move. I could barely breathe. "Calamity," Velvet Remedy whispered urgently. "Don't shoot it." I wasn't planning to," Calamity hissed back. "Girl, you gotta let that go." Firelight cried out and flew away, wings flapping with the sound of a crackling fireplace.
Oh no! The animal
Interesting, mused a deep rumble from Steelhooves' armor. "I'd say he's a damn sight more than interesting." "He said he was Spike," Steelhooves said curiously. "He didn't say he was Watcher." The dragon's gaze locked on me. He raised a very sharp claw the length of my whole body. Addressing me, Spike, the fully grown dragon, asked, "They do realize I can hear them, right?" Little Pip, Velvet Remedy, Calamity, please don't be afraid. Spike smiled, showing way too many sharp teeth.
Yeah. Don't do the teeth
Dragons shouldn't smile
Just...
when they're trying not to be intimidating.
No.
You're welcome in my house.
No. See, thing is, smiling doesn't have to be your teeth. And you could just go, right? You don't have to show your teeth. Okay, that's like a lot. That's a problem people do with animals. They smile and they show their teeth, but animals think you're kind of threatening them unless they're domesticated. But like Spike, don't smile with your teeth shown. Just smile with your mouth closed.
On one condition. Watcher was setting conditions. That would have irked me, but this was his home. And Watcher was a dragon. Dragons got to set whatever conditions they wanted. I was fully expecting something along the lines of "don't steal, hoof through, or touch my treasure." I was not prepared for the dragon to point at Steelhooves with one lethal claw and say, "That, stay outside." Watcher had a problem with ghouls? That did irk me. Perhaps not quite so much as it would have after meeting Ditsy-Doo and before learning about Rottingtail, but it still bothered me. "He's with us," I insisted, putting my hoof down. I breathed fire. Spike countered, winning the argument. I turned to Steelhooves.
That is a good argument right there.
"You okay with this?" After everything, part of me was ready to turn my back on Watcher and just walk away if Steelhooves said no. "I'll be fine," Steelhooves answered. I felt unexpectedly relieved. "Besides, I won't be alone." Steelhooves' armor-sheathed tail jabbed towards the Sky Bandit. Firelight had taken shelter inside and was furtively peeking her head through the windows.
Oh, that's adorable.
Apparently, flying into the home of Equestria's largest predator was a bit much to ask of our new feathered companion.
Doesn't matter
I
if you
nodded to
could
then turned back
be
to the
reborn
dragon.
if you're inside someone's stomach.
Okay. Velvet Remedy was more gracious and diplomatic, giving Spike a courteous bow. "Thank you, mighty Spike, for allowing us into your house."
That's
She
Dragon
barely
Lord
paused before
Spike.
choosing the words she had used.
Yeah, you know it.
Do dragons blush? Spike seemed to. He glanced back into the darkness behind him. "Well, it's really more of a cave, but I've fixed it up enough that it feels like a house." "I'm sure you did splendidly," Velvet Remedy flattered. Spike turned. We all ducked as his massive tail swung around, and led us into the cave. We followed, all except for Firelight and Steelhooves. A pony in my head stomped insistently, wanting to know why I had just been required to leave a friend outside.
You can ask. You can ask. That's really the first thing you should do instead of,
Watcher was a dragon. The awe and "I'm about to get eaten" dread was washing away, and I was surprised to find that what tip-hoofed in to replace it was anger. "It's delightful," proclaimed Velvet Remedy. "I didn't know a dragon's cave could be so homey."
Well, he
She
has
turned
lived with
around,
ponies his
taking
whole
in the
life.
scattered piles of gemstones surrounding an immense circular bed sunken into the floor. "And there are so many books. You must be a collector." The walls were lined with bookshelves, many of which were full. The cave continued on into the darkness through a massive fissure in the back wall. "There are twilights," Spike said almost reflexively. Then, with a touch of sadness, He corrected himself. Were Twilights. Twilight Sparkle? I asked, seeking to confirm my suspicions. I was already sure of the answer even before the dragon nodded. I was thinking of the audio message Homage had played for me, the one Rarity had left Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle had not gone to Pinkie Pie when she ran out of room for her books. She had started storing them here. A single terminal sat on a pedestal near the bed,
So sad
and
that
only
friendship
slightly
died.
fancier model than that found everywhere else in
And
the
Equestria
wasteland.
followed.
A cable snaked deeper into the cave from the machine's back. I had been expecting something much more like Homage's setup at the MASEBS. The little pony in my head was stomping more insistently. Finally, feeling just a touch cross, I bluntly asked, "Why did I tell Steelhooves to stay outside?" You didn't. I did, Spike said, as if I needed to be reminded of the flow of events.
I like
The
asshole
day Steel
Spike.
Ranger
He's
steps foot in
fun.
my house is the day I eat canned food. The ominous growl in his voice made it very clear what can he was talking about. Okay, Spike didn't have a problem with ghouls. He had a problem with Steel Rangers. Or was it with the Ministry of Technology in general?
Probably both.
For someone who spent his days
Both,
jumping around
probably.
sprite bots, that would be a surprising attitude. Velvet Remedy was still looking around, expressing admiration that the dragon was just soaking up. I suspect it had been a very
Dragons are
long time
prideful.
since some pony had complimented him on anything, even something as simple as how well kept his books were. Leave it to Velvet Remedy to know just what to say. Particularly since I was feeling much less diplomatic. I bit my lip. I was seething just under the surface.
You didn't
and I
bump
couldn't
that
put my hoof on
charisma
why.
stat, did you?
I wondered if my emotional state was some sort of delayed PTM withdrawal, or if I was just more tired than I realized. I'd spent most of the last 4 weeks,
Probably both.
ever since leaving
Maybe.
Stable 2, in a state of physical or mental exhaustion. But Homage had pulled me through a miraculous and multi-orgasmic recovery.
Oh boy.
I should be in far
Wow.
more control than I was suddenly feeling. I looked away from Spike, staring at his huge bed.
The implications are better
It did
than the
look
actual
comfortable.
knowing.
Plush with pillows and blankets. I'd even say it looked heavenly. I blushed hotly and shivered for something that was not related to cold as my brain conjured up mental images of what I could do with Homage. To Homage
Wow.
in a bed like that.
Okay.
I looked away, clearing my throat.
Damn, little I
Spike
think
took
you
the
got a
sound as
new
call for
addiction.
attention.
The homage addiction.
Oh, right. The black opal. He stretched out a purple paw, its expanse bigger than my whole body. If you would, please. Courier pony at your service, I thought bitterly as I floated out the black opal and set
Hey,
it into his palm.
couriers are awesome. Just go play
Why
New
did you want
Vegas.
it so badly?
Find out.
I asked. He was a dragon. He was no more able to view the memory than an earth pony could. And I doubted that any pony had ever made a recollector in his current size. Because, he answered simply, it was the last time Equestria's greatest mares and my closest friends were happy. With a sadly nostalgic note, he added, all of us, in the same place, at the same time, and happy. Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy. They were, in Spike's own words, the greatest heroines of Equestria. The mares who epitomized the 6 most important virtues of pony kind. The mares whose friendship had the power to change the world.
If Spike thought they were the greatest heroes with just Season 1 and part of Season 2, what the fuck would he think of them at Season 5? Or Season 6? Like, that DBZ fight with T-Rex? Like, jeez.
How did it go wrong? It was Velvet Remedy who asked.
Give me an hour
but
and
I
I
think
can
we
make a
all needed
list.
to know. Spike was slow to answer, and much of what he told us I had already expected. These ponies, my dearest friends, were not without their own problems. They had their failings, even when they were young. But their virtues let them stand up to any hardship, and their friendship gave them a strength that they could never have as individuals, Spike said nostalgically. But then the smile faded. Even the greatest people have their flaws. And, when put under pressure or in the right circumstances, those flaws can become cracks. They can break you. And, with the ministries, they weren't together anymore. And they were under pressure all the time.
See, that's what I mean.
Spike stopped.
That's what I mean. Instead of 6 ministries, 1 organization with all of them together as a committee. they work better when they're together. That's when they're their strongest. That's when they're at their best. They keep each other grounded.
And then fiercely asserted, not that everything that went wrong can be laid at their hooves. Not even most of it.
I blame
We all nodded, listening intently.
because I'm an asshole.
First, there was the war. Equestria had been at war for over a decade before Luna created the Ministries. War changes everything. Spike informed us passionately. Before that, Equestria had known peace for over 1,000 years. We didn't know war. We didn't understand it. Maybe if we'd had a few in the past, we wouldn't have made all the mistakes all at once.
Okay. I was about to say that. Like, cut me off before I could start.
The dragon's tail thumped.
Let's see what else he has to say first before I talk.
And then there were the Ministries themselves. The very epitome of good ideas and noble intentions gone wrong. And not by the fault of the mayors who ran them. Velvet Remedy caught an inflection in Spike's words that I did not. What do you mean? The mayors of the Ministries didn't actually run the Ministries? Well, yes and no. Spike pinched the bridge of his nose between two claws, wincing a bit. How can I put this? We waited as the dragon gathered his thoughts.
I think I know.
Of the 6 of them, only 2 even tried to run their Ministries. Those were Twilight Sparkle and Rarity. The others pretty much just threw suggestions at their Ministries and hoped for the best.
Oh my fucking god.
Spike fought for words before finding an analogy.
Oh my god.
I found it a rather odd choice myself.
Like, okay. Like I said this before, at the very least, Rainbow Dash would probably be one of the few that actually knows how to run something like that, because she was the Ponyville weather manager. That's something a lot. I brought this up chapters ago, but it's something a lot of people forget or don't know, is that she wasn't just a weather pony, she was the weather manager. I mean, she's gone on to join the Wonderbolts now, like, woo, the dream's accomplished. But, yeah, so I figure, like, Rarity and Twilight, sure, but canonically, you could probably include Rainbow Dash. I mean, sure, she's running something way, way bigger than the Ponyville weather team, but she does have management experience. But this was written before that was common knowledge or even really touched upon or anything. Actually, it was never really touched upon. It was just kind of a background thing. It was a really cool background thing, though. I really liked it.
Dressmakers. They have their own ideas of how to make a good dress, but they are beholden to the sporadic demands of their clients. In this case, my friends, the mayors who have been put in charge of them, even when those clients don't have the first clue about the art of dressmaking. No matter how good the suggestions may seem, no matter how brilliantly skilled the dressmakers may be, they can still end up with a nightmare design. Calamity broke in. Yep. Especially if what you're talking about is more like a committee of dressmakers all competing for their vision. Spike agreed. Democracies tend to make a mess out of everything.
Yeah!
Calamity said with clear bitterness. Only time they can act is when they're feeling threatened.
Again, this might seem weird, but being an American, but I've always had a strange fondness for absolute monarchies. Like, I don't... Again, it's kind of strange being an American, home of the free, democracy, woo! But I've always had a personal fondness for empires, absolute monarchies, all that kind of stuff. I've always had a really big fondness for it. And a lot of times when dealing with historical fiction, like fan fiction on space battles, when they're dealing with A Song of Ice and Fire, they always try to bring democracy to Westeros. Like, why? Fucking absolute monarchy is way better and more sensible given the situation, but that's a whole nother rant. But I'm with Calamity here.
I looked at my rust-coated companion, wondering where that had come from.
Are the Pegasi a military republic?
Suddenly,
would you like to know more?
I was very happy I didn't know more about Pegasi politics.
I love Starship Troopers so much.
I don't get it, Calamity commented. Why you hiding in here? Ain't like there's much a dragon needs to hide from. He cocked his head thoughtfully. I mean, a really ticked off Ursa Major, maybe. And that's when I knew why I was mad. His words were like an earthquake, opening a fissure of reason, the anger simmering just beneath the surface.
He's got a
My
point.
response was
That's a good
natural.
point.
I erupted.
I didn't even
All
think of
this
that.
time, you've been a dragon. A dragon. All this time. Spike looked at me, startled. Little Pip, Calamity cautioned. Please don't upset the really big dragon.
Inside his own home.
I stomped, fuming now. Do you have any idea how much good you could have done? How many lives you could have saved? I found myself advancing on the dragon in my fury.
Oh
I
shit,
would have
she's
faced up
going
to the
hard.
preposterousness of my own actions had I not been blinded by righteous anger.
You know how
Spike's backing away from me only heightened the absurdity of it. Don't
he's
tell me
backing.
you don't
you
care.
know the balls you
I
need.
know you care. You've been watching. Why aren't you out there doing something? The Equestrian Wasteland needs someone like you. Spike looked abashed.
Dragon
but
Lord
insisted.
Spike.
I have my reasons. Reasons? I attacked. Afraid of getting your own claws bloody? Hell, the Ponyville Raiders couldn't have even scratched your scales. But no. You'd rather send a little mare fresh out of the stable with virtually no combat experience into a pit of raiders where she's more likely to get killed than to save any pony.
Get wrecked.
I was huffing. My mane and tail were in disarray. Part of me seriously wanted to charge Watcher. Maybe with all my telekinesis behind it,
Suplex him.
my horn could give him a jab you might actually feel. Little Pip. What reasons? What could possibly be more important? I was screaming at the dragon. All the times I had put my own life at risk to help others, and the person who had set me on that path was a nigh invulnerable dragon. Yet he couldn't be bothered to leave the
I still
house.
say Lil Pip should have killed the
What?
other one with a plasma
You need
lance.
to polish your gems, count them, maybe take a nap. Spike flinched. Seeing that was like dumping fuel on the fire. I opened my mouth and let out a barrage I didn't know I had in me. Enough! Boomed Spike, finally sounding like a dragon. I cringed, suddenly remembering that I was small and probably tasty. The single word slammed to me in
Crunchy,
silence. The dragon turned away from me, looking to my friends. Do you trust Little Pip? Yep, said Calamity without hesitation. Yes, I do, chimed in Velvet Remedy. I felt a pang, knowing that I might have hesitated had our places been reversed. While I forgave her, I still felt the pain of her betrayal,
Oh.
no matter how well-intentioned and beneficial it had been.
It's, yeah. That's...
All right. Then I will tell Little Pip my reasons. But only Little Pip. And only on the promise that she never tell anyone else. Not even you. Why? Velvet Remedy asked politely. I would have demanded an answer. Spike scowled deeply.
You shouldn't demand things
You've
inside a
seen
guy's
memory
own
orbs.
home.
You know that there are ponies who can rip a thought from you with their magics. And the so-called goddesses who command the alicorns is telepathic. And through her, so are they. I was struck with a new image of the alicorns as terminals linked to a mainframe, sending and receiving their messages from it, and through it.
That's different.
This is how they knew when and how their own had died.
Yeah,
The
I
goddess
figured.
had
I
observed
figured
their
they were
death
like
through
a
the
hive
alicorn's
mind.
and then sent the knowledge on to all of the rest. The fewer who know, the smaller the risk that someone might rip that knowledge from you and use it against. He paused before concluding with, me. I frowned. If Watcher's reason for being Watcher was that dire, then Spike was taking a massive risk just telling me. My outburst alone couldn't be the cause to break 200 years of silence. Or was it an opportunity? Again, I got the impression that the dragon was desperately lonely in his self-imposed exile.
Oh.
On the other hoof, Spike could just be full of horse apples.
That's possible.
All right,
You always
Stated
You always
firmly.
have to consider that the person might
I'll
be
agree with that
full of
condition.
bullshit.
but only if your reason is good. Spike contemplated that for a moment, seeming to accept it. He stared to Calamity and Velvet Remedy. And will Little Pip's word that my reason is good be enough for you two without ever hearing what it is? Yeah, Calamity said, frowning. I trust Little Pip's judgment. If she says you got good enough cause to leave the rest of the folk out on their own, then that's good enough for me. Velvet Remedy nodded.
Oh
Of
god, it's
course.
gonna be something stupid.
Then follow me, Little Pip.
Like
I have something to
they
show
need
you.
to get strong on their own.
The huge purple
Like,
dragon
oh
turned
god, I
and lumbered
hate that
further into the
reasons.
cave, passing through the fissure in the wall. I gave Calamity and Velvet Remedy one last look, then trotted after him, nearly needing to gallop to keep up. What am I looking at? I asked for the second time in my life. We had traveled into the center of the mountain peak. I had soon realized we were following the cable from Spike's terminal.
Are they eggs?
And now I stood in a vast chamber, large enough for the dragon to move around easily. Along the walls were mainframes, half a dozen of them, with gemstones that pulsed with magical energy. They all seemed to be nearly dormant, save for the closest one, which beeped busily. In the center of the room, like a gigantic stalagmite of magic and steel, rose the tapering column of a super mainframe that made DJ Pony's systems look downright quaint. Massive insulated wires ran up the walls from the tops of the mainframes, then swooped across the chamber to attach around the column at a point well above Spike's head. The chamber was a chimney. Staring upwards, I could see far above us a rough circle of the night sky, twinkling with stars. The super mainframe was pointed towards that hole like a colossal magical wand. A Crusader mainframe, Spike answered. The ultimate arcano-technological mainframe. So powerful it could think for itself. Learn. It could even hold the imprint of a pony's mind.
No!
All three had ever been built, I remembered.
Isn't that one from the vault? Is that the same one? What the fuck is going on?
One was installed in Stable 29.
Oh, okay.
One went to the Ministry of Awesome. And one, this one, came here. A platform radiated out of the base from the Crusader like a six-pointed star, each ending in a dais. Upon each dais rested a fine pillow, upon which sat a single piece of jewelry. The one closest to me was a beautiful tiara. The other that I could see was clearly a necklace.
Oh.
Are you... I looked at Spike, suddenly questioning my assumptions. Is this Watcher? Spike chuckled. No, I'm Watcher. This is a Crusader mainframe. A very special one.
Skynet.
What does it do? I asked, my curiosity beating down my anger. Except let you hack sprite bots and spy on ponies. Something this incredible couldn't be here for a purpose, so... pedestrian. Right now,
Ponies are kind of
nothing,
stupid, little pip.
Spike told me. I felt the little pony in my head cry out in disappointment. It's waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for who? I looked at
the
Spike. The
chosen one!
Spike seemed to bulwark himself. I sensed the plunge he was about to take frightened
Fallout
him.
2 was the best.
This is Twilight Sparkle's greatest and most important project. She poured her heart into this. In the end, it was more important to her than anything else. Spike trailed off, looking to me as if pleading that I could grasp how meaningful his words were.
What does it
I
do?
nodded, waiting for him to continue. I was reserving judgment, but already I felt that Spike's reasons were, if not good enough for myself or other ponies, truly of vital importance to him. She commissioned this Crusader, and worked on it herself in every private moment she had, creating a mainframe which could cast a very special spell. I blinked.
What does it
jaw-dropping.
do?
What? All this? I waved a hoof. Just to cast a spell? Spike glared at me, and I shut up. Not just a spell. A mega spell. One more powerful and more complicated than any other mega spell ever conceived. Twilight Sparkle wouldn't have been able to cast it. The most powerful magical pony born in 1,000 years. And she created it. Gardens of Equestria was beyond what even Celestia or Luna could hope to cast.
It's a GECK!
Gardens of Equestria?
Oh, shit!
Yes, Spike answered. A single spell, powered by the elements of harmony, calculated and cast by a magically augmented Crusader mainframe. A single spell that would affect the entirety of Equestria, cleansing it of radiation and taint, restoring it to the beautiful paradise it was once before the other megaspells twisted and poisoned it. Oh my goddesses. I stared, eyes wide.
Fucking GECK!
Unbelieving, even though I could tell
No,
it
no,
was
no,
true.
no, 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 no. It's
One
not.
spell.
It's not a GECK. A GECK only affects a general area or region. This is a fucking ultra GECK. Oh my god, that fucking changes everything. Spike, you the man. Guard that shit with your life.
Oh. One single spell that could fix, well, not everything, but it would mend the soul of our mortally wounded land. Then why, I asked slowly, an ache building up inside of me. A beautiful, restored Equestria. Why hasn't it been cast? Spike spoke with almost infinite sadness. Because the ponies who can use the elements of harmony are dead. I moved around the Crusader, looking at each element of harmony in return. I stopped when I reached the necklace of the balloon-shaped gemstone. I went to a get-together at Spike's place and brought it, just like you asked. All of my friends were there but you. Twilight Sparkle entrusted you with the element of magic, didn't she? She entrusted me with all of this, Spike answered. I can't leave. If a band of raiders should make their way into this place while I'm gone, or worse, a troop of Steel Rangers. He didn't need to say anything more.
Steel Rangers
I can't take the risk that someone might damage or destroy this, Spike said anyway. I have to stay here, keep guard, until I can find the right ponies.
Okay,
I sat down next to the
There's a few problems with this. I understand the fear that, like, raiders or Steel Rangers could come and deal with shit. But you clearly have a supercomputer capable of hacking into sprite bot stuff. Why not, like, get robo brains, all this stuff, build an army, like, I'm going to need a whole video to talk about ways that Spike could do this better, more efficient, because I mean, he's doing pretty good. He's actually doing pretty good, but there are more efficient ways to do this without leaving the people to die horrible deaths on their own in the horrible wasteland. Like, you clearly have water, and you're a pretty big guy, so it's got to be a lot of water. Well, you're a dragon, so you eat gemstones. But there are. Oh, I'm actually going to have to, like, stop and just think about ways to make this more efficient, because there are ways that Spike could be doing this better. And I mean, this actually fits with Spike, because Spike is not the smartest guy around. You know, he's kind of dull, so he might. I'm saying this like I'm a goddamn genius, but like there are probably ways that Spike could be doing this better. I need to actually stop and think about them for a bit, but there are ways around him just sitting in a cave guarding that main front. He should guard it. Like no fucking joke. He should guard that shit with his life. But at the same time, what do you do? I mean, you're a little robot. You see people getting raped. You see people getting murdered. You got to do something. You can't just sit there and watch. I mean, yeah, he does a little bit of helping, but it's not enough. Not when he could be doing way, way more. It wouldn't even be take him very long. He has wings. He can fly. Do you know how much ground you could cover flying? Even if it's just a slow flight? Like, yeah, there's the risk of Steel Rangers or Raiders, but at the same time, you save people, you start getting followers, you start accumulating resources. He could build a fucking army. He could probably like get a city going if like again, under the assumption there's water nearby, because again, he has to drink something. So there are ways around this. I just need some time to think about what those ways are. That he could do a lot of good for the wasteland while still guarding the GECK. Gardens of Gardens of Equestria. Go. I'm just going to call it the GECK. Fuck that shit.